Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Salman. I'm a tech product and innovation expert based out of Bangkok, and I'm currently in the middle of reinventing my life. In this channel, I talk about personal transformation and how you, whether you are a student or young professional, can accelerate your career for a better future. And today, I'm going to talk about 5 big mistakes that we make in our career in our 20s that often get in the way of us becoming successful. As always, I'm going to put all the timestamp in the description below so that you can jump in whichever the mistakes you want to start first or come back for a future reference when you have mastered all of them. I would also like you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, and give it a thumbs up if these are the kind of videos that you would want me to continue to make in the future. With that, let's dive into it. So the first mistake we make in our career in the 20s is that we choose to work for a company instead of choosing for the person who is going to be our line manager. It is so important that most of us don't realize and only get so drawn to the big name brands without recognizing that the 20s are the most formative years in our life. It is those years when we want to focus on who can help us really drive our basic transformation that is required to help us reach much greater heights in the long run. If we don't have the right supervisor, even after having a great brand in our resume, we'll still not develop some of those really early important skills in our career that can be so instrumental for unlocking more potential and achievements in the future. The tip here is that make sure the person you're reporting to in your 20s is the person you're choosing the company that you want to work for. And once you have done that, you make sure that the person is someone who is a coach and a mentor to yourself, as opposed to just a line manager who is demanding very high, steep targets for you. You want someone who is really going to take interest in you and is going to bring out the best in you, who is going to challenge you on a daily basis and is not going to take no for granted. This is the person who is really not going to be shying away from really telling you what is the true thing that you need to know, and it's going to help you see your weakness. It's the person who is going to help you become more self-aware from a very early stage in life so that you yourself will know how to navigate yourself through the uncertainties into the future. If I reflect my own career, I always made sure that I look for the person I'm choosing to decide to enter a company instead of the brand or the name that is associated with it. From my first boss that I worked with, it really taught me the importance of collaboration. I learned how to be a good human being. I learned from him how you need to collaborate not just within your organization, but also with the people outside your organization to bring out the best in your future successes. That helped me so much even till now, and I continue to apply the same principle. From my second boss, I learned how to really be more optimistic and courageous, how to take decisions that are profound and we can take it without having to have a position or an authority in our life. So the first tip here is that always choose the person you're going to be working for instead of the company based on the name of the brand. That's going to go a long way in really making you a much stronger candidate for future successful career roles. Now, the second career mistake we make in our 20s is that we choose to have a wrong future plan for ourselves. It is the plan of becoming a department head or manager in a reputed company. Now, that's the wrong way to think about your future career trajectory. The way to think about it is that the career has only 2 paths. You either become a specialist or you become a generalist. And in reality, you have to start by being a specialist first, and only then you can go into a path of being a generalist. Let me tell you how it's done. So you first choose what craft that you want to build for yourself in your 20s. It is that specialization that's going to create domain expertise in a particular field, and it's going to help you really stand out with something that is really a good strength of yours. If you really want to specialize only one area and become extremely good at it, then only focus on one specialization and become the best in the world or in the best in the industry in that. That can make you very valuable in the world. And if your goal is to become a generalist in the future, I will ask you to try out more than 2-3 specialization in your 20s so that you are not just trying out different specialization to understand more about cross-functional organization, you're also keeping an opportunity to not get stuck into one specialization, which may just become obsolete because of some technology shift, or it might just be too crowded for you to compete in the future. So make sure, choose a couple of specialization in your 20s, explore and try out different ways of trying to grow yourself. And then when you're ready to take on a more critical ownership of profit and loss, P&L that is, a full ownership of not just your specialization, but also people with other strategies of the organization, you are going to be ready to take on a more of a managerial role, of a department head role. So my recommendation here is, again, don't look after or chase after those titles in a company. Chase after a craft, a specialization that you want to build for yourself in the future. If I look into my specialization, in my early days, I first wanted to learn how to organize flawless events and do brand activations. In my second role, I continued to work on that, and then in addition to that, I look for specialization to understand how to write excellent proposal and do fundraising for NGOs. In my third career, I looked on specialization to help me and become a master in digital marketing and in sales. And if it wasn't for those 3-4 types of specialization, I wouldn't be becoming a head of innovation today, working in a multinational company, combining all those experiences together and having a big team to lead before me. And that's exactly what I recommend, is to choose not the title or the name of the role. Instead, look for what exactly is going to be your specialization in your 20s. That is the most important for you to track. The third mistake we make in our career is by being risk averse and starting to make safer career choices. The moment you start making safe career choices, you get too comfortable with yourself. And the moment you get comfortable, you get stuck. Once you get stuck, you become lazy, you start losing your creativity, you stop growing as a person, and hence you start losing out on any opportunities that are dancing around you. If you are too comfortable, your manager sees you, the cross-functional manager sees you, the leadership in the organization recognizes that. And the moment they say it, they're not going to be the one giving you an opportunity to grow within the organization, but will give it to someone who is more of a hustler and who really has no comfortable state of mind, rather wants to really take on challenges, however impossible that might seem. If you're really becoming too comfortable with your life, you not only don't see the big picture, but you also don't learn to build your foundation. My simple tip here is that I have a quote which is, try to make sure that the 20s are the slog years of your life. If you're familiar with cricket, then you will know that during the slog overs of a game, you hit really hard to get as many points in your scorecard as much possible. It is those overs in a game that you try to maximize your opportunity to get closer to the opportunity for winning the game. So please slog as hard as possible, because you have all the energy, all the motivation, and all the ages and all the luck for yourself as a beginner to really get the most out of your career. And once you've done slogging really well in your 20s, you'll be able to enjoy all the points that you'll be having on your scorecard for your future part of the career. Now, the fourth mistake we make in our career during the 20s is very straightforward. It is building our foundational years with lots of shortcuts. Now, in general, the shortcuts are the biggest detriments for your career. So it's best to avoid under any circumstances unless you really need to have it because you don't really care about the outcome. So try not to focus on any shortcuts throughout your career, period. The reason it's important is because we often try to achieve something before it's even due. We are the millennial generation is often driven by instant gratification. So for us, becoming an overnight success is more important than to really build a strong foundation for ourselves. If you really want to build a really big building, we can't just have a poor foundation for ourselves. The same way, if you want to have a successful career, we really need to make sure that there's no shortcuts put in the way of building a future foundation. So the goal here is to try not to look for shortcuts, try not to earn something before it's due, try not to asking to get something before you deserve it. Rather, wait for the right time, wait for that you have built enough capability and foundation to fully deserve or what you actually can get for yourself. One of the things that my dad always told me throughout my life in early days is that you first deserve and then desire. So if you really don't deserve to get something or be in something, don't expect that to happen for yourself. And the moment for too many days you're expecting things to happen because you want it without deserving it, it means you're asking for a shortcut. And that should be a good indicator to remind yourself to work a little hard, to do a little more, and to really get through the process first instead of trying to get to the point without really passing through the right steps that's required to get there. Now that brings me to the fifth and probably the biggest of all mistakes that we make in our life, not just in our early days, but throughout our career, which is that we have the wrong attitude towards learning. If you really don't have the right attitude in life, in your work, in your career, in how you collaborate, in how you lead, how you manage something, you really are not set out for success. You'll keep getting stuck throughout the process of trying to achieve something just because you don't have the right attitude. I cannot emphasize that if you really, no matter how great do you think you are, if you really don't have the right attitude towards learning, toward really opening up yourself for helping to understand something better from a perspective of someone else, you really are not going to be able to also give someone something in the future which can be also transferable. One of the common problems I see is that we often feel too entitled ourselves. We think that we have learned something already, hence there's not much that can be taught to us. That probably is the attitude of an absolute disaster. You shouldn't be having that attitude at all. Rather, the attitude should be focused on how much more I can learn and how much more I can be groomed and grinded in the entire process to become a best version of myself. A great way of doing this is to think like an apprentice. No matter whether you are of a top business school, or you are coming from a very privileged class family, or you are from an MT program, the management training program in a company, you should focus on that you are coming here almost a glass empty, so that there's more that can be poured into you to make you and build the best version of yourself. If you're just coming too full, then there's nothing much to give to you, and at the same time your ego will always take over. So think like an apprentice, think like that you are an intern in a company, even if you're offered a great job in your 20s, so that your mind will always be open to constant learning. Even if you're given a feedback, you will not have a chip on your shoulder that's going to stop you from really seeing the true essence of that feedback, instead of really taking back it seriously and kind of fighting back against it. So please, no matter what, the attitude in your 20s should be learn, learn, learn. The more you fail, the better, because that's one more ways you know how not to fail. Then one more ways you can help your future team, your future colleagues, to tell them that how you can better avoid a potential disaster. So really have an open mind and make sure that you are really focusing on your learning, constant learning, regardless of your title, regardless of your position, and regardless of what people think in the organization of you. So these are the 5 big mistakes that we make in our careers, especially in our 20s, that you must try to avoid no matter what. If you want to become successful, these 5 mistakes must be avoided as a prerequisite. Yeah, there are probably more variables in life that you need to get right, but if you just simply master these 5 mistakes and don't make it throughout your 20s, you have a much higher chance of succeeding in your life. And if you really master this, and then you want to identify a career strategy that can help you unlock your learning curve into a better career, then you must watch this video where I talk about my single biggest career strategy hack that you can use for yourself throughout your life. I really hope you like this video where I try to talk about my personal experiences and my secrets so that you can help get yourself a better career in the future and can use it as part of your personal transformation this year onwards. With that, thank you so much for watching this video. If this is the video you like, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing so, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.